Okay, Thursday, 21st of March, 2024. So, study Bitcoin. The more you understand Bitcoin, the less risky it becomes. So, there's a very great quote by Warren Buffett that talks about that diversification is the insurance against ignorance. So basically, when you don't know what you're investing in, per se, the industry, the sector, whatever else, this, that, this, whatever, the index and beyond, you just buy everything because you don't know what you're doing. Fair enough. Nice. Now, the opposite of that, intrinsically, naturally, would be to understand something intimately. You know precisely what's going to happen, within reason. You know what's going to happen in the future. You know what happened in the past. You know what's happening now. You know the details, the system, the marketing, the pricing, the product, competition, everything, the sales funnel, the management, the team, the scandals, the balance sheet, everything. So the more specific and more detail you have, the more knowledge you have of something, the better you can, let's lack a better word, invest in it. Very understandable, very normal, very natural. So there's a very interesting, let's say, phenomena. Maybe it's market reflexivity, maybe it's just observation, whatever. I've noticed with some of the big names in the industry, because you see, to justify spending, let's say, $1 million and putting $1 million in something, $1 million, you want to have at least $1,001,000 worth of knowledge and understanding, of intimate understanding of something. Otherwise, it's disproportionate. It's not a good move. $1 million, 2 million, whatever. You need to have more knowledge of something than you put into it, financially speaking. So what I've subtly noticed that some people in the industry, Michael Saylor, Max Kaiser, they will be advocating advocating Bitcoin so much, talking about it on podcasts, videos, interviews, you name it. But then the skeptical side of me says, right, are they saying what they're saying because they have a financial incentive, for everyone to buy the Bitcoin because their Bitcoin portfolio goes up, and never sell because their portfolio would go down? The big position in something. What do you want people to do? Always buy. Okay. Bit skeptical, but understandable. So they're going to be talking about it in a bullish way, advocating it on social media, wherever else, interviews, nice. But also at the same time, would they be advocating it because they have such intimate knowledge and understanding they can easily, effortlessly talk about it for hours and hours and hours? It's a bit of both. Okay, fair enough. Now, because they would have so much knowledge of Bitcoin, so much knowledge up here, they can easily afford to put millions, let's say, whatever, a lot of zeros into it, because they have such deep, intimate knowledge of it. And that's the key. The more you understand it, Bitcoin and the principle in general, the more you understand anything, investment-wise, the more you can justify to put into it in here, in terms of your emotions, riding up or down the volatility in here, knowing what you're investing in, who or what, or behind the scenes, or the technology, whatever else, makes sense. So the more you understand, the more you can invest. So then I see the people out there, as I said, they'll be talking about it, but then are they saying it because of incentives or because they understand? Must have been a bit of both, of course. Now, so as you understand Bitcoin more, the risks go down. So a couple of years ago, maybe two and a year and a half ago, someone asked me, an acquaintance of mine said to me, like, isn't it risky buying Bitcoin? And at the time, I had no real distinct answer, but I remember the conversation. And I forgot what I said, but I remember him asking. And so since then, I've realized that actually it's the exact opposite. Not having any is incredibly risky. Not having any is incredibly risky. Because we could say Bitcoin's a hedge against inflation, debasement, even I was thinking recently it's entropy, but that's another conversation. But really it's by holding, say pound cash, or pound dollar, any fiat, you're taking on immeasurable amounts of risk. Third party, political, legislative, economical, you name it, scandal, mismanagement risks. Basically anything that involves humans, like a company, would have third party risk. Which means, as we're being reductionist, humans are imperfect. Humans make mistakes. So actually by holding, it seems, by holding any asset, apart from Bitcoin, you're inadvertently and indirectly investing in human activity. Makes sense. So therefore, you're investing on the premise that the people behind the scenes, the CEO, whoever else, CFO, CTO, will do a good job. But mismanagement happens, scandals happen, bad things happen, and mismanagement. So other crises happen, and the response can be less than efficient, let's say, and so things can go off a cliff, so to speak. But actually, when you realize and look and think that Bitcoin, lack of a better word, investing, we'll keep it simple, not technically, but keep it simple. You're investing in mathematics, code, physics, and maths doesn't, there's no entropy with maths. Numbers don't deteriorate. The hardware, the physical, devices might entropy and deteriorate, but code doesn't deteriorate. Maths doesn't have entropy. It just is. It's just a fixed universal constant. It's just numbers are numbers. It doesn't melt, doesn't deteriorate. So it's like, as you understand more about Bitcoin, you realize that actually you're moving away from these risky assets, let's say, pounds and dollars, because they're subject to political whim or market sentiment or other crises or scandals, whatever. And actually just moving your purchasing power, your savings, into maths, into pure code, into pure physics, pure maths. And if you go on to say something like ChatGPT and ask it, what are the 10 first principles of Bitcoin? And those 10 principles, like decentralization, are all just mathematics. It's all just code. It's all physics. And this isn't like hocus pocus or saying all these things. There's no risk here, there's no risk here. It's like, this is code. This is mathematical fact. This is computer science fact. That's powerful. So it seems to be that as you learn more and you understand more, that you realize that this fiat is risky. It's all over the place. But this is consistent. Like earlier today, I heard that even gold, someone in the UK found 70 grams of gold in the earth. Now, Bitcoin fixes that, that's another video I'm planning to do in the future. Bitcoin fixes that, this sporadic creation of gold or discovery of gold, just here and there. Whereas in Bitcoin, we know the future. We know roughly when the halvening is going to be. We know when the last halvening, so to speak, is going to be. The last Bitcoin has been mined. We know all this. It's code, it's maths. We can kind of predict it to a good degree of accuracy. But gold, it's all over the place. As the price goes up of gold, so does the mining. Okay, so we don't know what's going to happen there. The risk, is it going to be 1%, 3%, the emission rate, so to speak, per year? We don't know. It depends on the price of this and that. And others are the variable, the mining, whatever, and the drilling, all over. But over here, it's like we know because we look at the the halvening and every 10 minutes, and we know how many Bitcoin per 10 minutes. Okay, powerful. And in a company, or what about the dilution rate, or are there going to be any reverse stock splits, whatever else, things like that, or are they going to dilute more shares, issue more shares here, or are they going to buy back shares? Well, we don't know. It's all this uncertainty. And then you realize that that's risky because it's uncertain. It's human action, human behavior, human whims. This is all over the place. Gold, because as the price goes up, so does more worthwhile to mine more, so does human incentive. So 1% of gold could be found or mined this year, then 70 grams here, then more over here, more over there. For Bitcoin, it's consistent. It's maths. So the more you understand about this, the less risk there is. Now, of course, you could say, okay, in here, there's like third-party risk and the stocks and the shares and whatever else. Because I saw this great tweet once, like choose your risk. And it was volatility risk with Bitcoin, third-party risk with companies, and there was also with DeFi and all the rest, it was like contract risk or something to that effect. Contractual or smart contract risk. Okay, fair enough. But actually, if we're being reductionist, we could say, well, there's volatility risk with Bitcoin. The pound or dollar worth is whatever here and there, whatever. It's all over the place, inconsistent, whatever. Two things to say to that. One, when in doubt, zoom out and look at the chart on the long-term pattern, the long-term history. And you tell me what you see. Don't just look at the 14-minute chart or the 4-minute or the 10-minute, but look at the 14-month, 14-year chart or 10-year chart or 5-year chart, and you tell me what you see. And the second thing is, and this goes in with understanding, and the more you understand, that when you go into a Bitcoin standard and you start valuing wealth in Bitcoin as opposed to valuing wealth in, say, dollars or pounds or euros, instead of Bitcoin, everything gets cheaper. And there's a great website priced in Bitcoin. It shows you the price of all kinds of commodities and other things in Bitcoin. And there's a great website by, I want to say the Louisiana Fed. I think it's Louisiana, but definitely one of the Feds in the state, that shows the price of eggs, a dozen eggs, by 1 Bitcoin, the price of them. And when you look at any 5-10 minute, 10-day chart, it's whatever. But then look at the 14-year chart, then, well, you tell me what you see. So it seems to be then that the more you understand, you would also take that mental leap to go onto a Bitcoin standard and value things not in pounds or dollars, but in Bitcoin, using Bitcoin as your denominator. Just like in the same way, I, living in England, I don't use the Indian rupee or the Canadian dollar when I look at things or how much things are. I don't think about those currencies. I think in terms of pounds by default. But then if I look at things in terms of Bitcoin, I'm realizing, well, there's a pattern where the price is going, and I'm using that as my denominator, using that to price things. And then if you start pricing things in Bitcoin, there is no volatility because it's code, it's physics. 1 Bitcoin is 1 Bitcoin. Today, tomorrow, next week, next month, and we know that mathematically speaking. Again, certainty. No certainty here, more certainty there. But then also, see, unlike with fiat, and this is admitted on the, say, UK banking website, inflation, £10 today is worth less in the future. And this is on their website. There's a Bank of England calculator. £10 today equals whatever in 2000 and whatever, or 19 whatever. Okay, fair enough. So it seems to be that as you learn more, the risk goes down. It seems to be the case. It seems to be. And as you understand more, you can justify in here, in the heart and in the soul, in the mind, to allocate more. It seems to be the case. It seems to be the case. You'll have to find out for yourself, DYOR, do your own research. You have to do your own research and think about it for yourself. Yeah. And besides, you're an adult. Come to your own decisions, okay? But that's what it seems to be. I've noticed. That's what, as I said earlier, observation. The logic, interesting, makes sense, okay? But nonetheless. So otherwise, you will see me tomorrow.